I am content creator Sally Estlin and the founder of Empowered Clothing. I empower women over 50 to create a conscious and intentional lifestyle on my show, Finding Your Way with Sally Estlin. And hi everyone, I'm Sally Estlin and I'm a content creator and a holistically fit specialist. And I share authentic and everyday issues for women over 50. So you can learn more about my fashion products and services at empoweredclothing.com.au. So today I'm very excited. Our topic today is about how to elevate by connecting to consciousness. And our featured guest today is Corrective Functional Therapist DL Walker, who's in Florida. So just before I bring DL in, I thought I'd just introduce her with a few lines. So DL is a corrective functional therapist and educator with a specialisation in non-surgical foot and ankle treatment. She's had over 35 years in healthcare. So for the last 15 years, she has shared her knowledge and wisdom teaching and developing comprehensive courses for healthcare professionals and the public. Her passion is determining the root causes of a problem, creating comprehensive solutions and healing using a process to undo symptomatology, undoing the symptoms and optimizing functions in the fastest way possible. Sorry about that, DL. Well, come on in and welcome. Thanks for joining us on Finding Your Way.
Oh, thank you, Sally. So wonderful to be here.
Well, our topic today is something right up our alley, how to elevate by connecting to consciousness. That's how we met, really.
It is how we met many years ago, actually, on retreat in Fiji. And and that was all about manifestation. And one of the earliest introductions to this whole consciousness thing. I know I never really thought about consciousness for a long time. I just kind of went along with the flow and did what I was supposed to do and, achieved some pretty good successes and, had a child, lost my way completely.
As we do,
right? Yeah. Although I have to say, I was a very conscious mother. I would have to say that without knowing that I was being conscious.
So what does consciousness mean to you?
That's a great question. It means for me, connection, obviously, which we were just talking about, but it's about mindfulness and decision-making based on non-reaction, but responding. So it's about responding to a situation with clear thought. And it's really tuning into that higher voice. I receive messages through audio. I hear them. I know some people see things and whatnot, but in particular, when working with my patients as a physical therapist for many years, somebody would say something in their history, right? They would talk about their history, and I would hear a word like ototoxic, or I would hear like, lower back, or, look at the sacrum, or, I would just, those voices would just go into my mind and my consciousness and speak to me. And, sure enough, when I listened, right, like, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. But when I listened, or when I learned to listen, it just made a lot of sense. So when I don't hear those voices and I'm wondering what to do, how to choose the next step or the right situations, I then ask and listen.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm, PT and also massage therapist, and I feel things. So you hear them, you feel them. So the bodies talk to me through what I feel, and been doing it for many, many years. But the body's got something to say. It's amazing working with the body, isn't it? But for me, consciousness and connecting to consciousness is connecting to your higher self, connecting to your your true essence, your real self, and it's going into that gut level stuff, into that internal GPS, as opposed to being driven by the mind. It's connecting more into that gut, that's that little voice inside of you that's niggling, that says things, that talks to you, and it's that feeling that you have. So it's consciousness is all about being awake, right? So when you're unconscious, you're not there, right? So when you're elevating your consciousness, you're waking up further and being more in tune with that internal guidance within you. So today I thought we'd share one of your, we have little empowerment shares that we share with our featured guests, and yours is about realigning into your truth with your body, your mind, and your energy. Oh, that's a nice segue, actually, with what we were just talking about. So do you want to share a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. And to your point, I wanted to say too, connection to consciousness for me is also listening to those clues from the environment. And, like when something is in my environment and it speaks to me.
Yes.
Sometimes obviously, right? And sometimes not so obviously. And I give a funny, for example, but I wound up moving to where I am right now on a whim. It wasn't a whim. I saw it as a sign.
Right.
And a very clear sign, and just ran with it. Didn't know why, but it just felt aligned. And so I think that is that's kind of what it's about. We get all of these signals, right, every day bombarding us from so many different areas. And that's why it's so important to be mindful of what you put into your field, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you hear, when I might hear something or be told something, my field of question goes, does that align or doesn't it? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, the other day, my daughter was speaking about a friend who had something peculiar happen, and it didn't sound right, and I'm sure that there was information that got lost in the conversation, that came to me. But when she was describing the symptoms and everything else, I was like, that just doesn't align.
Yeah.
And I think particularly, being that we're both now over 50, and the importance of aligning in particular with what we're consuming, right? Both nutritionally and energetically, is so important at this particular stage in life, probably more so than in other stages, for me at least. How do you find that?
Absolutely. Just I think particularly over 50, we really empower ourselves, and we're very sensitive. And so it's, what are we inputting, not just into our mouths, but into our minds, into our souls, and it's about how we're processing that and what steps are we taking because of that. And so, these shows are all about empowering women to, step up into being the driver of your own energy, right? So it's all about the energy, follow the energy. And that's what you're saying, like moving because the vibe felt right. And that was the same for me. Can't explain it. I went from the city out to the beach, but it was the right energy for me. It was the right alignment. Right. And when it feels right, it just feels good, right? And that's when you feel really empowered, because you can't explain it, because it's an energy thing. The vibe is right.
Yeah, no, even for me, I, spent a lot of money to convert my house to solar. And again, there's controversy about global warming and whatnot, but to me, it just felt aligned. It felt like the right thing to do for my home. And therefore, even just the car that I just bought, the energy of the car was just so different, even though it was the same brand, pretty much the same model. It was a little bit different. It was a sport, but even the color, the feel of it, the interior, the tint of the windows, the sunroof, just all of that felt aligned to where I am in my energy now. And there were things about the other car that I really disliked that were different for this one. And again, just really aligning to it. And I had no intention of purchasing a car that day.
Yeah.
And if it were any other car, I'm not sure that I would have.
Yeah.
But again, just the color, the feel of it, really tuning in and saying, yeah, that's right. And I know for many years I questioned that, is this right, kind of thing. I was the person who kind of, quote unquote, did the smart thing.
Yeah.
I did the conservative thing. I did the thing that I thought would, be successful, but, was that really aligned? And I think for me, I didn't know what was aligned to me. So I just did what made sense.
Yeah. It does get easier though once you start to trust that niggle and trust that when you're in tune with your energy, it flows, right? And it's interesting you're talking about a car. It just reminded me years and years ago, I was gifted a beautiful car, and it was a BMW, and it was bought for me as a gift. And I just never vibed to the car. It's just I couldn't explain it. Everyone's like, "What are you talking about? That's an awesome car." And I said, "It is an awesome car, but it's just not for me." Like, it never felt right. It was just something about it that I never aligned with. But once you start to be okay with that doesn't feel okay, or this does feel okay, and then keep following it, it gets easier and easier, doesn't it? It starts to, you become more comfortable in going, no, that just doesn't feel right, and I don't know. It's just following the energy again. Once again, it always leads you in the right direction.
I think too, and it's also about listening to the clues, because your body in particular speaks to you.
Yeah.
And, especially when we're having changes in our body. And I know for myself right now, I have, rather than do a quote unquote, plan diet, right? I'm consuming foods that I'm aligned with, like I'm really feeling a lot of vegetables lately.
Yeah.
I'm really feeling like putting coconut water in my water.
Yeah.
It just feels right.
That's right.
And what's really interesting too is that I stopped using plastic in my house.
Wow.
So any utensils that were plastic, any containers that were plastic, I just threw them out. Measuring cups that were plastic, pitchers for water that were plastic, I just stopped using them. I'll filter my water and then I'll put it in glass. And I'll store it in glass and I'll drink out of glass, or paper, or, again, really feeling aligned to doing that and feeling the energy of those things because they're more aligned with nature.
That's a massive job, replacing the whole house out of the plastic. I mean, it's just been our way of life for so long, right? But again, it's just simple, small steps. Just start with one thing, then another, then another. Otherwise it becomes so overwhelming. And you're right, we have to become our own sort of detectives about our body and listen to what it's saying to us, because it is speaking to us. And then our bodies do start yelling at us if we don't stop and listen.
Absolutely.
And what sort of illness is when we're not listening to our body, right? But
yeah.
But so moving on, you also have sharing with us today an expert tip. Dictates function, frequency, flow, and force absorption. Do you want to talk about that?
Absolutely. When I was a physical therapy student back in 1995, in my orthopedics class, my teacher told us three things, and I never forgot them. And one of them was structure dictates function. So what that means is that from an anatomical standpoint, right, our alignment, our posture will dictate the function of our muscles. For example, there's something called the length tension ratio, which states that a muscle will contract with greatest vigor or strength when it's at a particular length. If it's too long or too short, it's not going to work right. I took that a bit further and changed it to alignment. Another example, that's function. Frequency, you can think about the nerves in our body, right? The frequency or our energy, right? So again, when we are in certain postures, for example, there's been research about greater testosterone being released when you're in a certain posture. a famous physical therapist from your area of the world, from New Zealand, Stanley Paris, would state that posture reflects your attitude toward life. And so your energy can be dictated by your alignment, for sure, right? And then flow, when we think about the blood vessels in our body or the nervous system, right? We have that flow of blood or of nerve conduction. And I say it's kind of like a kink in a hose, a garden hose, right? So if the alignment of the garden hose is off, it's not going to flow right. And that shows up in our body in like tunnel syndromes, like carpal tunnel and tarsal tunnel syndromes, where, you know, there's a kink in the vessel, usually nerve or blood. And then that's the tingling sensation. Force absorption. So again, when we are in the ideal alignment, our core muscles, right? The muscles that protect our joints and are the ones responsible for stability, right? They are better able to work when they are at that particular alignment. So if there's a force coming at you, right, and you're in the right alignment, your muscles will automatically contract to protect you. So like a football player, a quarterback, for example, not seeing the defense coming at him would be an example of that. And then also, you know, if we're a runner or doing some sort of impact, that's another area of force absorption. So I take it a little bit further and use that same principle with the mind and the energy, right?
I love it.
So if our mind is aligned, right, we function better, right? We make better decisions, right? The frequency, the brain frequency, those neural systems are working better, right? We have better blood flow. I mean, when you look at people who have, you know, that forward head posture, there's a kink in the carotid arteries that potentially can cause a clot. So there's better blood flow to the body. When our connective tissues are released, we know this as manual therapists working massage and those kinds of things. Everything is the goal is really to improve blood flow, right? So the alignment of the connective tissue of the fascia, that is another example of flow. And then obviously force absorption. So the ability of our mind to be resilient, right? When forces, right, emotion, stress, environment, lifestyle, things that get thrown at us, right? We're able to absorb that without getting destabilized.
I love it. I love it. And I love your description of it all. What was that quote from that the Kiwi guy about posture dictating?
Yes. Your posture reflects your attitude toward life.
I love it. I love it. It's so true. People don't understand. I say, look, put your shoulders back and don't look so timid and, downtrodden. And it's so true. And the kink in the hose, it's a really great analogy of how the body's flowing or not flowing or where it's getting stuck. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that intuitively, again, following the energy, my higher self has always said, and this is how I practice, is that, people are going to come to me with symptoms, right? And I am required to treat those symptoms. But the very next thing that I am doing is obviously finding the root cause of the problem, but I'm taking as much time as I need to restore alignment, because it's the restoration of alignment that will keep those symptoms away for potentially a lifetime. And when I learned the connective tissue release techniques that I do, I'm able to change alignment really, really quickly. And using, again, the modality that I use, which is highly specific, which is tape. So kinesio tape, dynamic tape, or leukotape, depending on the situation and the goal.
Mm.
Then I am able to hold that realignment. And with dynamic tape, you can do so with 15 kilos, up to 15 kilos of force.
Wow.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That's massive. That's massive. So yeah, there's so much. And I just love how you're working with the feet, right? It's just, we all got to stand
all
up.
about the base. Yeah, it's all about that base. And honestly, there's so many, if the feet are off in alignment, it's just like building a house on a crooked foundation. The rest of the house is going to compensate. And I've often believed that the human body will do anything to get weight over the big toe, including go up on the tiptoes like toe walkers. The children who are toe walkers. That's their compensation to get weight over the big toe, because the big toe is the primary balancer in the foot, and the human body will do anything not to fall.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the theme today is about expanding your consciousness and connecting into that. And once you can't change what you don't know, but once you start to have that awareness of how your body's operating, or where it's out of tune, or where it's got its kink, then you can really start to be mindful. And as you say, connecting it all, the mind, the energy, the physical side with the energy side of it all, and start to, posture is something that I always say to people. Just start with the posture, shoulders back, head up straight, that sort of stuff, and allow, because I love the analogy of the kink in the hose, because that sort of sums up our bodies. Things can't flow through. And absolutely. It's fantastic.
It was interesting because when I was introduced to the people who would become my mentors, it was at a course where it was about walking, and these people were very aligned with the posture, right? Very much. I learned a lot from them, and I had thought I had this perfect posture because I had always intuitively, right? My higher self was always about alignment. Same thing, what I was taught. And I thought I had this really good posture. And then my teacher adjusted my rib cage over my pelvis. I took 3 steps, and I said to myself, this is before I knew anything about energy. I was like, imagine how much energy I'm wasting by my rib cage not being over my pelvis. I said that to myself 16 years ago, when I was in this class. And again, I had no idea about energy, but intuitively, it just, when you are in the right alignment, the body is just able to work in miraculous ways. And chairs have taken us out of alignment, toilets have taken us out of alignment, and as a result of that, there's quite a bit of illness.
Oh yeah, I mean, COVID, prime example, getting stuck in the chairs inside all the time. My back, I've never had issues until now, because I'm seated for so long, and so I'm very mindful of that and do stretches and things. But even with my seats now, I have all these bamboo supports behind me, underneath me, behind me, to help with the sitting in the correct posture.
Yeah, absolutely. And even when the people who were very sick in the hospitals, they were put on their stomachs to breathe better. So again, going into alignment, right? Alignment dictates function. That is the better alignment for breathing.
Yeah, I love
it. Yeah, I mean, there's so many examples that that are still done. Putting somebody in Trendelenburg, which is with the the body back, the head down, for somebody who's feeling faint, or for a baby who's coming out who's not ready. I mean, these things have been done throughout centuries, and they probably began with an intuitive thought, a connection to the higher self. And so for a long time, we didn't know why, but it just worked, and it felt right.
That you took the words right out of my mouth. It just felt right. Well, that leads in very nicely to just about the clothing that I've produced, because today was all about connection, and it's to your higher self, which is all linking into this crown chakra. So I've got the racerback and the long sleeve bamboo top, which is all about connection and, you know, choosing to connect. And I've got it connecting to love, light, and gratitude. So the racerback is about choose to be connected, and you can see that on the screen there. And then the long sleeve one, you know, choosing love, light, and gratitude. It's about connecting to your higher self, being the beacon of love and light, and connecting to positivity and gratitude, because it's the highest form. It's amazing. So we're just amplifying the energy of love for yourself and for others, igniting your inner light to shine brightly, and embracing gratitude, you know, all the time. Gratitude, we talk about that all the time, like connecting to that, because we have a choice every day. Do we choose to be positive or negative? You know, just be grateful. And it really does change our perspective in life when we really connecting with that gratitude and love.
As our mentor Keith Leon S would say, you can you could choose to be blessed, or you could choose to be stressed.
I love that. Choose to be stressed or choose to be blessed. Oh, beautiful.
And purple, Sally, is my favorite color. Gratitude is my favorite emotion. And, you know, words have power and energy. They do, as does the fabric. And so, again, feeling the difference in a high quality fabric that's natural versus something processed is a world of difference. So, you know, again, what are you putting on your skin? Our skin is one of the biggest absorbers of toxins.
Oh, it's the largest organ. Absolutely. I always bang on about that. Absolutely. Yeah. So, you know, this is also linking into the crown chakra, as we said, which is the color purple. And, you know, as we know, it's at the top of the head. But it's all about, it's associated with divine connection, oneness, unity, enlightenment, and spiritual awareness. So, you know, expanding that connection is amazing. So the idea is that, you know, where your attention goes, your energy flows. So in the morning, what energy am I choosing to step into? And today, I really want to be connected to that higher self, have the expanded awareness, you know. And I've also got little like amethyst bracelets. So you can be wearing your bracelet and just touching it. Like, I'm a very touchy-feely person, physical person. So, you know, really stepping into that energy. Also got a little amethyst heart that can carry around, pocket in your top. But yeah, the natural fibers, I mean, bamboo, it's amazing. I just had no idea how beautiful it is to wear. It breathes really well. It has this UV protection. Yeah, it's been an experience.
Resilient. It's, you know, it's pervasive. We have a lot of we have a good amount of bamboo down here, and it is it also absorbs noise. Did you know that?
I did not know.
Yeah. So if you live near like a highway or, you know, a crowded area, and you put up bamboo, and it absorbs the noise. And another absorber that I've gotten into lately has been baking soda.
Right. Yes. No, I used that one. Yep. That I just didn't know bamboo about noise. That's amazing.
Yeah. So there's just you know, many amazing qualities about bamboo, and it's highly sustainable. So it's good for the environment. It's not going to be depleting.
Yeah. It's just going into the fashion industry, just learning all about sustainability and ethical manufacturing, and, you know, it's something that's very core values of mine now. So yeah, interesting.
Absolutely.
Well, DL, thank you so much for coming on, Finding Your Way. I've really loved having a chat with you and digging deeper into this whole alignment and flow and energy, and how with conscious awareness we can really create a better life for ourselves, really, and step more into wellness and out of illness. Just there's lots of gold little nuggets I've taken away today, and particularly the kink in the hose.
Yes.
That's a great analogy to carry with me. So thank you for joining us, and I'm just going to drop you down into the green room as I say farewell to everyone. So thanks again, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
So thanks, everyone. Join me for another episode of Finding Your Way with Sally Estlin next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, and Thursday at 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So today was all about expanding by connecting to consciousness. So you can really just, once you've just follow that energy and just just tune in to yourself. It just can take you on amazing adventures down the path. So once again, we look forward to seeing you again next week. And thank you for joining us. I'm just going to stop this here and put this on. There we go. And down. Oops. And there we go. Thank you for joining me today. You can learn more about me, my Empowered Clothing, products and services at empoweredclothing.com.au. Thank you for joining me today. You can learn more about me, my Empowered Clothing, products and services at empoweredclothing.com.au. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Sally Estlin,